Scott, good morning, my man. How are you doing here today? First question that I have for you. How about those Maryland Terps and how's your bracket doing?
That's great. My son's a Maryland fan. One of my best friends from the area went to Maryland, so my son's a loyal fan. He started watching Maryland like when he became friends with his son. They've been best friends since like age 6, so he was watching it so close. And what a great game! Just in general, it's so cool to see. So they won. March Madness is awesome. These kids have been working on their game. They've been putting in the time. They've been doing 2 a day since they're 5 years old. So to be able to have the spotlight, play in front of a big crowd, and then just deliver, it's beautiful. I just hope one day for my son Chase, who puts the time in, he has a huge platform to play on one day, and got to start somewhere. Right now as a sophomore in high school, so got to put the work in to get there.
Well, congrats, and I'm sure he's got a good role model there for putting in the work. So really awesome stuff. I'll tell you what, that Derek Queen kid can play, and his response. And how did you handle all the pressure right after this? I'm from Baltimore. Just absolutely awesome. Just from start to finish, awesome. The basketball has been awesome. And Scott, I got another piece of news to share with you. When you had first started coming on here, I had told you that I was really impressed with the push-ups and the cold plunge and just getting yourself physically and mentally ready for the trading day, ahead of the trading day, very early on. I took that very seriously. You told me it was not a spectator sport. Since then, I've been doing push-ups every single day. It has made me feel better. It has made me have more energy throughout the course of the day. And this is perhaps going to make you the happiest. I had a random guy reach out to me because I was posting some of that stuff on Twitter and said, hey, I really appreciate that you did this, and you're going to motivate me to do some push-ups. So your influence is spreading, even if you're not working at it. So keep it up.
There you go. Listen, all I do is try and package some things so other people could learn from it and feel good about it. I've been trading, like you've been in this business a long time too. I've been doing this for 25 plus years, so I figured out a way to package it. Have you ever tuned into the 20 at 520 yet? On the subscribe button?
I have not.
That's another whole thing. So basically at 5:20 in the morning, I have a sauna workout for 20 minutes where some people have a sauna, some people don't. And you could actually tune in, and I do a 20-minute workout to music. I talk about what I'm seeing, what's going on in the futures, what the narrative is, and, with the level of endorphins high, and do a 20-minute workout, some mobility, some stretching, some weights. I have 20-pound weights in there. If you don't have one, some people use a mat, they use a towel. And, I do it every day now, Monday through Thursday. It's 20 minutes from 5:20 to 5:40. Then I go in the ice barrel. Then I come here, then I do the 6:30 club, and then I do 40 charts for the Alpha team, and then I get on the radio, do their morning call, and it's one big package. And I couldn't do all of that at all if I didn't start the day off on the right foot and win the morning. And we say win the morning, win the day. So at least control what you can control, which is feeling good, so then we could handle whatever the market throws at us.
I absolutely love that. I don't think enough people focus on that. So I'm going to continue mentioning that. I'm going to continue trying to help you get more people doing that stuff. All right. Scott, do you want to share your charts? Do you want me to drive here today? I got a number of things I want to ask you about.
Yeah. Let me see how I present here, right? With this little arrow. Hold on. Present. Yep. There we go. All right. So, you could, let's see. Are you showing that chart yet?
Yeah, let me put it on the screen here real quick. And also, by the way, download Scott's free ebook to see his #1 spot to buy and get his free indicator that alerts you. QR code on the screen, link in the chat. Scott, what do you got for us here today?
All right, so here's a SPYs. It's been a hard tape, I'll be honest with you. I'm actually not at the highs of my month. I'm not at the highs of my quarter. I got, beat up a little bit in some predatory misdirection type trade, but I'm rebuilding. So on Friday, when you had that, that kind of down open where it felt like we were going to retest the lows and then we reclaimed areas, there were some clues to kind of be long for a trade. So that was right here, this candle on Friday. So, we know the red dog reversal. That's when you reclaim a level of reclaimed 559. So sellers didn't have the power to keep it below 561. Sellers didn't have the power to keep it below. So that at least gave you some clues not to be cajones to the wall short coming into yesterday. If anything, there were some stocks that gave you some clues to nibble a little bit because they finally rebuilt and closed well before this. So some people like, what clues do you look for? Well, first we go to Palantir, right? We talk about moving averages. If you go to that QR code, I talk a lot about moving averages and risk on, risk off. I think that also talks about the power plays. Palantir on Friday, what did that do? Look at that candle right there. It cleared a lower level, so that was no longer deemed a bear flag, and it got back above the moving averages. So right there, that's all you needed to know about that stock and maybe put some risk on. So that was something that I took on Friday into Monday, and people asked me why. That's why. And yesterday, you had a nice move, and I got smaller because I use a tier system. You have to have money to make a living. And then now today, I think, Palantir's up a little bit. I'll trim a little bit more. I think, maybe 100-ish is where it can go. So what I like to do is map out areas on what's the easy bounce and what will be tougher and what maybe you want to take the other side of the trade. So not saying we need to short into the 100 area, but that's going to be a hard spot to get through. So I'm already going to start trimming a little bit, into that spot. And then you had Tesla, right? Everyone has been bantering about Tesla, corrected 50% off the highs, and it did. And, I kind of was out of the way most of the time on the way down. Every now and then I tried to, catch a little bounce that suffocated you. I think we tried it a few different times. And then finally right here, became a focus for the alpha team again, and Redler All Access. I said, hey guys, look how tight this is. Then you had everyone just bashing the hell out of it. Elon went, spoke to his employees and said, hold your stock. And he tried to give some confidence because he's been just doing Doge and doing stuff with Trump, and he hasn't done a lot with Tesla. So finally, he kind of like brought it back home. And then on Friday, when the market was really weak, it showed relative strength for really the first time in a while. That's why you always want to stick and watch. Even if you're not in your go-to list, you want to watch and see the way it behaves. And finally, it behaved really well. So I got long on Friday, stayed in long all day. Yesterday was in all day. I trimmed a bunch. And then,
Excellent.
And then today, the news that European registrations are down. It was down $4. And then before I even walked into the office, it already turned green and it's up 5, into this area. So I've already reduced a little bit more. This is one spot was a target 290. And then some people think it can get towards 320, 325. But I would think into this area, you definitely would rather be a seller than a buyer. It doesn't mean you need to be shorted, but it'll be trickier. So anyway, Tesla and Palantir were just, examples of using technical analysis, having your go-to list, knowing the way it looks and feels and smells and tastes. I actually can't taste Tesla, but anyway, and making some decisions and adjusting because, there were guys who were like, Red Dog, the only reason why we rallied on Friday was because of OpEx and the flow. So I'm going short. So if you went short at the end of the day, Apple and Microsoft, because that's where a lot of the flows were, or even the SPYs or the Qs, you got hurt yesterday. And if you didn't cover yesterday, now all of a sudden, everyone's probably like, oh, why is the SPYs up again today? They're up at, another $1.60. And, so it's that the fine line on whether or not you lose a little or lose a lot, or make a little or make a lot, or just get in rhythm. Like sometimes you just need to get back in rhythm with the tape, and then, the money will come.
I love it. And we all know how fast Tesla can move in both directions here. Not at all surprised to see you hitting that curl there at the bottom. I like your 290 target there. I almost wonder if you move above 290 and then kind of back test it and hold it, does that set up another long trigger for you?
Yeah, now it's got a rhythm. Right now, it's like a football game. It's like, different sides have the ball. The active Bears had the ball this entire time. Here, the active Bulls took the ball back, and now it's kind of theirs to lose. But you have to measure the defensive stance each time. Do we get first downs? Is it 4th and 1? This and that. I'm not saying it's football season. We should be talking basketball.
No,
anyway,
I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I love this guy, man. I'm itching for football. It's a month to the draft, and he's out here making football references with the stocks. This is what I needed to get me through the off season here. Another couple of stocks I wanted to ask you about. How about Amazon? We've seen some pretty big moves here with Amazon. I know 200 was a huge level. Looks like we're have reclaimed that. What do you think here on Amazon? What's the chart telling you?
I like it. I think there's room to like this 210-ish area. Like Tesla's got room to 290. The SPYs have room to 580. Like this to me has room to 210. There's a whole void here. I didn't actually come in long Amazon yesterday. I bought it pre-market thinking this descending channel was going to get cleared. I bought it around 199.5. I still have it. What's Amazon doing this morning? Amazon, it's up 88 cents. It's at 204. So what I do is I'll trim a little bit and hold a little bit. There was some news out of Baba talking about how AI and the data center is a bubble. So maybe, Amazon obviously has a big business with data centers that, it holds it back a little bit. But I personally am constructive, and I think that this bounce could take it a little bit further up. I'd like to continue to try and stay with it, but then right around, this is 210-ish. That'll be a problem. So you have a void here where if the market wants to continue higher, I think that there's room for Amazon to continue higher.
Okay, good stuff there. Love Amazon. Also wanted to ask you about NVIDIA. I know NVIDIA has been one of the market darlings here. Qs move a lot with whatever NVIDIA does. What does your chart here say on NVIDIA? God, that looks like that's trying to tease a breakout here.
I know. To be honest, I'm long it now. It's down 80 cents while the futures are up. I hate being long something that's down while the market's up. It's showing a little relative weakness. NVIDIA is always better when it leads the tape. Same way Tesla is usually better when it leads the tape, so it's lagging. I don't know. Like yesterday, I said, hey, guys, sellers are going to try and sell NVIDIA because it's the only thing they could do in order to stop this gap and go, and they couldn't. So maybe they're trying it again. So if you look at NVIDIA is down 80 cents. This morning, which isn't the end of the world. Could you see the level 2 there, Ryan? I don't know.
I sure can.
So it's showing a little relative weakness. If NVIDIA goes from down 80 cents to green, takes out 122.20 and 122.89, I got to believe that the SPYs are going to end up being up $3 today. If all of a sudden, the SPYs go from up $1.70 and start to fade and don't hold yesterday's highs, this can go from, being down 80 cents and it could break 119.30, and that'll be my out. Right now, I'm in it. I'm hoping it could do better. All you can ask for is setups in this tape. And right now, it's just it's lagging a little bit. And I think there's like buyers higher. If all of a sudden the sellers lose, it could go fast. But that hasn't shown that it could do that yet. First step would be above 122.20, then 122.89, and then that would bring you up towards 125. So I'm long there. I added a little bit this morning, but then it didn't move when the SPYs went from down $1 up $1.50. So I kind of took that off because I want to just be a little bit, I don't want to get caught in the one name that doesn't work. That's always not a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seems like there are other better targets anyway if NVIDIA is not going to participate here. Folks, we are with Scott Redler here, Red Dog. Download Scott's free ebook to see his #1 spot to buy. Get his free indicator that alerts you. QR codes on the screen. I put the link in the chat there as well. Thank you, producer. Red Dog, I'll get you out of here on this. Tell me about Bitcoin. Are you trading Bitcoin? Did you buy it on the pullback here? Are you waiting for a specific level? What are you seeing here in Bitcoin?
Well, actually, we did a power play last week. Last week I bought options because I was like, you know what? I feel like if the market's going to bounce, Bitcoin is acting better. Mister's been acting better. So we put on the $49 calls. And yesterday, Michael sent out an email to sell half because, it was up a lot. So right here from this to that was nice. I'm also, this morning, actually last night when Bitcoin was lower, IBIT, I bought a little bit more of the IBIT. So now I have half my options on because since I sold half, now I'm in some of the actual ETF. I don't know. I'm not going to use 49.59 as a stop. That's kind of weird because there's just a big gap here. I feel like it's a little different. You got to give it some room. I really wouldn't want to see it go below 49-ish. If it does, then it gets a little choppier. So I do think, the highs of the year are not in for crypto, for Bitcoin, not crypto in general. I'm more, I don't trade the altcoins anymore. I used to do that, a while ago. Bitcoin is what I stick with, the ETF. And Mister, look at Mister. Mister changed. Mister finally started to get coiled here. And I was long Mister also on MSTU. I sold it a little bit early, but for now, broke this downtrend. It's holding better. Usually it's a good leading indicator for Bitcoin also. Remember during this move, Mister would be up when Bitcoin was down and Mister would be up a hell of a lot more when Bitcoin was up. Now it's starting to act better again. So, but at this point, I don't think, if you're not in Mister, is this a spot to add? Probably not. You kind of missed it, but I do think that it's moved up on my radar. So I do think crypto, IBIT and Mister are the two. You don't need to be trading Mara and Ride and those miners to me are just so damn hard. So the market's hard enough. So you want to maybe make it a little easier on yourself. So Mister and IBIT, I think all you need to trade if you're looking for an equity equivalent to Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I haven't had much luck with the miners either. MSTR, I like that you call it Mr. I can't tell if it's strategy or micro strategy or what the hell they're doing with the
Oh,
name. So Mr. works for me. I'll probably go with that. This is a really good, clear break-in trend here on that. Okay, folks, download Scott's free ebook to see his #1 spot to buy. Scan that QR code. Red Dog, awesome stuff yet again. Thanks very much for joining us. Any closing words for the group here?
just listen, the market fell pretty fast. A lot of people were off sides in the first quarter. There were some ways to navigate it, and it hasn't been easy. So, if you're looking at Twitter and you feel like the world's making money and you're in a little bit of a hole, it's probably not true. The Twitter life and the social media life is different than reality. So try and just de-stress yourself, get yourself situated. If you're in a hole, what I do usually is I simplify it. I bring risk down, and then I just try and get green. And then once you get green, you start making money. Once you start making money, you start adding more size, and then you're feeling better. And then boom, like, wow, I'm out of my hole. So just, take small steps. Small steps are good. And at this point, everyone's always like, Red Dog, is the lows of the year in? Like right now, that's not the focus. The focus is, where could this bounce go? And then what would be the signals if we put in a lower high to then retrace, and then we see where that goes. And I'll leave you that with the SPYs. So I did come up with this, where I do think that, maybe the SPYs could see this 580, 585 area before you're really worried about macro sellers coming in. There's not much this week. If Trump wanted to talk about tariffs, he could have done it yesterday and thrown some curveballs. He didn't.
Yep.
It's supposed to be targeted. So I do think the pain trade, in my opinion, is more into this area, because a lot of people don't have as much risk on as they had multiple weeks ago.
Okay. Real good stuff there. Red Dog, if I don't talk to you next Tuesday, good luck with Liberation Day. We'll check in with how all these charts shook out the next time. Thanks very much for your time, my man.